Can I vote on this as long as it's actually?
Sure.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, 5-0. Number 2, there are no budget amendments that was left on by mistake. Before we go any further, I'm gonna ask Roger to come on up. This isn't on the agenda, but it doesn't really have to be. Roger, come on. Roger is retiring after 25 and a half years of service to Potter County. We appreciate everything you've done, Roger. I have a story to tell you. I had the opportunity to talk to your wife at Lee about 3 years ago at San Diego. And she, in the conversation that she and I had, which we talked about many, many things, but the thing that I took with it was that she said about you, you are her rock. And I think that's the highest compliment anybody can pay anybody. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you for being
I wish you the best.
I appreciate everything, it's been a long time coming, but I'm ready.
Good luck to you. Enjoy your time.
All right, God
Thank
bless
you.
all of you.
All right, thank you. Number 3, the vouchers. To consider and act upon the approval of the payment of vouchers processed by the county auditor's office for the period of December 17, 2014 through January 7, 2015. Check numbers 159826 through 160062 and wire transfer 481 in the amount of $2,461,134.09. I need a motion.
I make a motion to approve.
Second?
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Raise your right hand. Thank you, 5-0.
And you were intrigued.
Number 4, official bonds. Terms beginning January 1, 2015. If necessary, to approve official bonds for elected officials taking office January 1. Julie, do you have any?
We do. I need to recognize the bond of Judge W.F. Quirky Roberts, County Court Law Number 1. This needs to be recognized. And then we do need approval on, we have 3 bonds here. We have Judge Herman, who is the Justice of the Peace Precinct 2, Judge Jones, Justice of the Peace Precinct 4, and Commissioner Vaughn, Commissioner Precinct 4.
What are the amounts on those bonds, Julie?
On the JP bonds, they are $5,000. And the Commissioner's bond is $3,000.
Any motion on this?
We need a motion on the, you can recognize Judge Roberts, and then we need the motion to approve the 2 JPs and 1 Commissioner.
I move that we approve the bonds for J.P. Herman, J.P. Jones, and Commissioner Vaughn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. And we need to recognize Judge.
We'll just notice it.
So recognized. Okay. Number 5, insurance report. To recognize the insurance fund report. Okay, is there anything? No, nothing remarkable. So recognized. Number 6, tax office. To consider and act upon refunds or overpayment of taxes. Actually, I'll let you speak on that. We got one additional one that was handed to us. Is this just the usual stuff that people pay their taxes and not knowing if the mortgage company is paying on that?
Well, lots of times it's the title companies that come out and the mortgage company.
Okay.
That's all we had to do.
So a total of 6 in the payments. I move that we refund the overpayment of taxes as presented to the court.
Second.
Okay, Okay, we have a motion and second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? Thank you, Sherry. The next one is about you too. It's to recognize the continuing education of the Honorable Sherry Ayler, Potter County Tax Assessment Collector. Here's your school.
It's good.
Good in Fort Worth.
Fort Worth, and then we also do one in College Station, which is actually fixing to change to San Marcos, so that should be good.
Of course. We have them all there. Okay, thank you. It's so recognized. Thank you, Sherry. Number 8 and number 9, can't do these separately, but they're the very same thing. So to review, Potter County Constable Precinct 1, to review the Tier 1 partial exemption racial profiling report, to take other actions necessary. Constable works here. Okay. So if y'all have any questions on this, do you need to take any action on this, Dave? It's just to review.
They just need to, they're just required to report to you guys.
Any questions, anybody? And then number 9, the very same thing on the Constable Precinct 3. Constable people, do you have anything you need to add?
No.
Okay,
No more reporting.
okay, okay. So recognized on both of those. Number 10, Potter County Memorial Stadium, lease to Southern Independent League to receive an update on stadium improvements and maintenance and take appropriate actions. D, to consider and act upon negotiating lease amendments for the current lease term. Okay.
I sent an email around and also have prepared this worksheet on the first part of it. And this was this is the sheet that Ms. Tucker from Southern League provided us. We've been using that a couple of weeks, right before Thanksgiving. We've been using that as kind of our go by ever since. You'll see on there the question is about improvements to the leagues. So this is a pretty good, an accurate list, accurate I think as we can get it at this point of the money that's been spent by the lessee out at the ballpark over the period term of the lease. And highlighted in yellow are items that there is some question, and a group of us from the county looked over it, and we met with Stephanie and reviewed this sheet in some detail. Items highlighted in yellow are ones that we are not 100% sure qualify as improvements. They seem to be more in the line of kind of routine maintenance stuff. So there's a question about some of those, but if you take the highlighted, just considering the highlighted, and deduct those total amount of money spent out there, that puts the amount of improvements over the period of the lease just over $174,000, which is about $18,000 short of where they would be. Now, the two items that may make a difference in this that we've been wrestling with but haven't really been able to resolve is there's an item in there for, there's a large expense on the first page at the top on the maintenance of the field, fertilizing the field, resodding and stuff. Some of that is obviously an improvement. Some of it, the yellow stuff, we're not sure about, but so there's, I think Stephanie is here to kind of give you a breakdown, because, playing field is kind of what you need with baseball. And the better you make it, the happier your players are. Some element of that may be an improvement. So Stephanie's going to break that down for us, I think, in a minute. Then there's an item you'll see also just below that on lights. There's a $20,000 expenditure there. There was about $17,000 that was spent for some improvements for the lights. The question is, who paid it? Potter County paid for one item, and so there's some uncertainty in my mind about whether that should count on the side of the league's ledger or not. So anyway, we're kind of hoping to kind of clear this, and we've got a proposed resolution if you don't think the current information solves it. But I'll just open it to questions, and I'll ask Stephanie to come up and break this down for us if she can.
Well, Stephanie's coming up. Do we know the amount that Potter County, the share of the lighting that we paid?
$13,814. list, there's quite a few things that have been done. And there's quite a few things that are being proposed to be done. Some of y'all might have heard that, you know, like the playing field. A lot of y'all might, I mean, we all know that for the last 3 years, we've been going through a drought. So there's extra chemicals and there's extra needed fertilizer and an extra treatment to keep the grass green and not dying without putting an extra amount of water on it to kind of limit the amount of water that we would be draining from the system. So that was, I would consider as an improvement. Also, coming as a farmer's daughter, I would consider fertilizer and some of those improvements, you know, as an improvement. So I just know going forward, I think you know what is considered as an improvement and what is considered my dad to make it look nice and something that we all need to do.
I concur as far as the steady improvements of the field. Certainly, if you don't have a good field, you're not gonna have a good outcome. And so it tends to lead to some people being hurt also. So, yeah, I commend you for moving forward proactively and doing that.
I just disagree with that. Part of your responsibility when you take up a lease is, there's no mention whether you have we take care of the field. It's up to the new people to take over that position. And I don't know that this is our responsibility. This is, you're the leasing, you take care of the field. It's not our job. And that's my opinion.
And I think, I don't think we're saying that's the county. What we're saying is that's not that it's the county's responsibility, but that the work they did on the field would count to their credit as an improvement.
I disagree with that.
That's what we're saying.
Well, I disagree with that.
Yeah.
And I personally tend to lean towards an IRS definition, or a permanent improvement is typically the stance traditionally we have taken on the improvements. And I think the question of obviously the fertilizer and weed control and chemicals, which are necessary in their own right, that's certainly what we struggled with as a committee. I sat on that committee, Carrie did, Dave did, as well as Ms. Tucker. We did this side by side of what would count, what would not count, because we definitely trying to be a partner in this conversation. And where we wrestled was if it was not a permanent improvement to the property. And this, I think, obviously is that gray area, which is why it's being presented to the court.
On the water, when we lay the sod, there's extra water, you know, to be put down to sod. So is that considered an improvement on the part of the sod? So that if we wouldn't have laid the sod, we would not have spent the extra money in the water. So I just want to know going forward how we would need to proceed this so we don't have these questions and I'm not being, you know, so we're all under the same understanding.
Commissioners, both Commissioner McGee and also Commissioner Kelly, break it down for me. Give me a better understanding of what we're talking about as far as a long-term, a solid improvement going forward. Because I think this is sort of just addressed. It's an ongoing improvement, but it's something that is permanent because it has to continue to be done. So I guess I'm trying to get a handle on it.
Well, what I can add is what the position we've traditionally taken, and I'm not saying directing the court any way of how we'd like to proceed, but the direction we've traditionally taken is if it was a permanent improvement on the facilities themselves. I think you've mentioned the infrastructure. I think you made mention of some dressing room improvements and the coaches' office improvements, those type of things being permanent, bathroom facilities, permanent structural improvements are traditionally the stance that we've taken in terms of what would count. And I'm just doing air quotes up here on my end, what would count in terms of the dollars.
Okay. So this basically, this is sort of a wash. We're not looking upon that as permanent infrastructure.
So sod is not considered, grass is not considered a permanent improvement.
I would say traditionally it has not been counted. Was that fair, Dave? Or Carrie, certainly correct me.
I'm gonna go against, I think you got a baseball field, athletic field, where that's where you play athletics. And I say this from hearing people who've been on that field playing, saying, man, that field was terrible. You know, I mean, and so, I mean, I think from that standpoint, any kind of improvement you make to the playing field is an improvement. It's not like me adding grass to my house. which was an improvement. by
I'll
the way.
clarify.
I mean, not in the same,
Not in the same capacity.
Yeah,
And just for clarity, we did count the new sod when we were
Yeah.
going through.
we did.
So the new sod was counted as an improvement. The gray area, again, which is what's highlighted, that Mr. Kemp has provided, the fertilizer, weed control, and chemicals. And we thought, is that really a long-standing improvement? That's what we wrestled with as a committee.
I would like to give my feeling. I'm gonna lean with Dave. I think that if on an athletic field, what is it that you need? This is, if you can't play on the field, you don't have anything to lease. So, improvements as far as I'm concerned. If you're improving the field, I'm willing to accept it.
I agree with Dave on that too. Perhaps we could reach a happy medium on this and both of us pay a little bit on it or whatever. Can I ask you, Nick, do you guys do any improvements out there? I mean, as far as you got water, do you fertilize anything on that field?
We've never been asked.
You never have, okay. That was a question I did not know. So basically the management does all that?
Yes,
You ever-
yeah, and between leases, we'll go out there and mow and do weed control as we need to.
So I guess the water's edge here is that, are you saying, that, the portion of the improvements of the sod and the grounds is not really a part of the whole equation of what the contractor should be doing and or they should be doing, and we necessarily should be pushing back from that?
The new sod was counted as an improvement. The gray area was the maintenance of that. And the fertilizer, weed control chemicals, I think there's an argument for both sides of the fence of, were we maintaining it or were we really sustaining the life of it? I think that's where the gray area is, and I think it's a matter of perception of what some would consider. Traditionally, we have not counted that, and I'm looking to Carrie for affirmation, because I don't want to speak incorrectly on the contract.
Well, gonna sound like I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth, and I hope I don't. But I think any tillage, any seeding, anything to establish a good playing field should be an improvement. Now, to maintain it, the water, and unless there's some special fertilizer and thing like that, I'm not sure that that is an improvement, that is maintenance.
I'm listening, here's just some more on the other side.
I think that ultimately, in my opinion, and certainly Commissioner Kelly, in my opinion, the court just needs to decide whether this will be counted as an improvement. If not, I think Dave has a proposed solution that he wants to offer the court, and Dave, maybe this is an appropriate time to speak to that. Because again, we're trying to be a partner and come up with a win-win.
I mean, we're close enough, one of the points I was making in my memo is that we're close enough that it's probably time to figure out a way to move forward and kind of lay this issue to rest. And the next thing on our, kind of on our agenda as far as the park would be to work out do some amendments to the lease. And they've made some proposals for your consideration. And so one of our thoughts Friday as we met was, why don't we just add a little bit more to the first year? They're, in other words, like they've proposed, for the next 3 years, we'll make $50,000 worth of improvements over the next 3 years. And so the simple solution to this would, seem to me to be, well, let's just say, okay, well, during the first year, let's make a counter proposal. During that process, during the first year, make 60,000 or, or 65 or whatever the court's comfortable with. If it not, I think that takes care of the problem, because the proposals that they submitted to you are going to more than cover that amount. So, it seemed to me to be kind of a win-win, allow y'all to still get the improvements you sought to get in the park and allow the lease kind of go forward. With the, we'll talk about the amendment process.
So what do we need to do today?
I would, you know, if you're, I mean, if you can either vote just to say, we'll accept it as it is, or say, let's consider it, and we are interested in as part of the lease amendment, and then I think the next step, we kind of thought about, talking about lease amendments today, but frankly, we thought we might want to talk about that in executive session, didn't have time to get it on as executive session, so we'll probably do that in next court meeting, so I guess, you know, those are the two things, options I see available to you, this morning.
So we can actually move forward and address the issue of an amendment to it, moving forward.
Yes.
Additionally.
Yes.
And then discuss the terms and the amount in the executive session.
Yes.
Okay.
And again, that's for any outstanding dollars to carry over the first year.
Yes, yes.
So we have a motion on the table.
I'd like to clean this up and just say that we've met our responsibilities and let's move on with a clean slate. That's my opinion. And then do the amendments next time.
I would agree with the amendments in the next session, in executive session. I think it will warrant that. In my opinion, we should fulfill the contract and speak to that and be able to speak to that. And not only for this contract, but for every contract that we are holding as a county, just to be fiscally responsible, obviously.
Okay, you want to do a motion to that?
Who wants to do the motion?
You appreciate
Well,
it,
my-
what it is, move on.
My concern is that if we, and I've stated this before, is this, it's not just the Southern Links problem, it's a bit of our problem, because we haven't been on this contract until the last year or so. And it's been a 4-year contract, so we need to communicate with our leasee that you're behind, or you're, you know, what's right, what's wrong, so that they know too. So I think it's a bit of our problem as well, it's not just the Southern Links problem.
I think it'd be safe to say too that you inherited some of this when you came on, so maybe we should make a motion to move forward with this.
I move that we say that the contract is in compliance and that we will address the amendments to the contract at our next Commissioners' Court meeting.
Do I have a second? I'll second. Okay. Everybody hear the motion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? 3.
I would like to follow that up with a motion to review the outstanding collectibles as a part of the amendment process.
Okay. Wait a second.
Second.
Did we fit the desired intent of the motion, what you were stating earlier?
I think so.
Okay,
I think so.
I'll second.
Oh, we had a second for Commissioner Hill.
Okay.
Okay, wait, let me make sure
Yeah,
I get this
yeah,
right, okay? So we had a no vote on the first one. So it was a contract to make the contract complete and address the amendments in the next Commissioner Court. So we voted that's gone. So then Commissioner Morgia came back and then she made a motion to just to review the outstanding collectibles as part of the amendment process?
Correct.
Okay, so y'all are not approving a contract today, right?
That's correct. We are
Okay, all
not
right,
approving
just
this
wanna make
contract
sure.
today.
Okay.
Yeah, the idea behind that motion is that we would look at what's outstanding, what's still owed in terms of improvements, and a suggestion that Dave indicated is add that on to this current year that we're on.
Okay, I just wanna make sure I got it right.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Morgia, second by Commissioner Kelly, all in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, 3-2.
And so,
So
and
then
yes,
next
so-
time we'll meet on the minutes.
Yeah, I'll be on the item on this executive session. And so, and the emphasis in that, I want to emphasize, because there was a little bit of dust up in some media outlets after the last meeting. The lease has been renewed for 2 months and continues to, you're still going, and he goes forward, so there's no question about the lease being in jeopardy at this point. We're moving on.
3 years.
Yes, yeah, 3 years. Thank you.
Okay, we good? Number 11, Strategic Planning Committee, to consider and act upon appointing myself, Commissioner Kelly, David Carter, Carrie Wood, Mike Kidd, John Keel, Dave Kemp as members of the committee and take other actions necessary. In addition to that, I have talked to Jason Patrick, who has requested he be on this. This is the core committee for any structures that we're gonna do, any planning that we're gonna have for the county. We have a core committee that does all the planning. Then we will, in addition, pull in people as we're needed on whatever project we're working on. So Jason requested he be put on it because he needs to know ahead of time and, for the IT project. So I agree with that.
Just in terms of full transparency to the core, I was currently serving on that. I will no longer, should this motion take place, and Judge Tanner will take that. I was also serving kind of as the communication liaison to just get these scheduled. So obviously that'll be part of the transition too.
We'll have regular updates to the board.
I'll start on this.
Move that the Commissioners Court appoint Judge Tanner, Commissioner Kelly, David Harder, Purchasing, Carrie Hood Auditor, Mike Head, Facilities, John Keel, PRPC, Dave Kemp, Assistant County Attorney, and Jason Patrick, Info Technology. It's members of the Strategic Planning Committee.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Church, second by Commissioner Gia. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed?
No.
Okay. Okay, number 12, Road and Bridge Department head, to consider and act upon appointing Sebastian Escudi as head of the Road and Bridge Department and to set the salary for the position.
Good morning. I did have a handout this morning. As you all are aware, last Commissioners Court, the topic of the replacement for Roger Hudson with Road and Bridge Department came up, and this court requested that a committee be put together to review applicants, that the position be open to internal applicants only, and that a committee review those applications and then bring a recommendation back to this Commissioners Court. That was on December 22nd. We did open that position on the 22nd with a closing date of December 31st at noon. You can see from the handout before you that there were actually 2 internal applicants for that position. I've provided you with a brief summary of both applicants' experience. The application packets were reviewed by that committee, the selection committee, and the consensus of the committee was to move forward with bringing a recommendation to the full Commissioners Court to appoint Sebastian Isiari to the position of Road and Bridge Administrator or Superintendent. Additionally, this committee discussed salary placements for this position, and it was discussed both from the standpoint of full budgeted salary, along with a range of salaries for that salary placement. It is the recommendation of this committee, again, to appoint Sebastian to the position and at the full budgeted salary of $66,972, effective upon the retirement of Roger Comstock. His salary would represent, a 7.8 increase for Mr. Isidori.
I would, excuse me, been fighting this lung thing for 3 weeks. I move that Commissioners Court appoint Sebastian Isagari to the position of Road and Bridge Administrator or Superintendent at the full budgeted salary of $66,972.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Church, second by Commissioner Kelly. All in favor, raise your right hand. This is 5-0.
Congratulations.
Need to say anything?
Okay, number 13, Fire Station number 6, to consider and act upon approving the scope of work and contracts with the various vendors listed for the remodel of Fire Station number 6. Funds budgeted in the 2014-2015 budget year.
Good morning.
Good morning. I have presented you with a document explaining the project. Pat and Richard are unable to be here this morning, they're currently on fire. The Fire Station 6 project, we went through many draft proposals on this project with one contractor, David Kingsley. The presented costs that I have before you right now in the construction remodel with the Gordy Group and Talon LPD. Originally, this cost right here, one of the proposals was up around $256,000. With Pat and Richard, we went through value engineering, reviewed this project. We was finally able to get the cost down to $194,062 on that portion. The electrical, plumbing, sewer, HVAC, and environmental, all at $69,600, and I've given you a list right there of where each one of those expenditures would be with what contractors and the state agencies. We had a project contingency of $29,543.71. Any overage that we had on the $194,000, I already had pulled it out of the contingency to make up that difference. So the contingency actually was $5,000 more than what it was. So what I'm asking the commissioners for today is to approve the $293,205.91 for the project. You said $293,205.91. If this project is approved, we anticipate to establish the timetables within the next 2 weeks. So this project will start moving real fast once we get everything approved. The first phase of the project will be to do an environmental cleanup. We have to follow our notifications with the state of Texas, and then all scopes right after that will just start falling into place.
Mike, is there anything unusual as you went through the assessment that you need to bring to our attention? Any surprises on the property?
On the property?
Or on the scope of work, if you will. I'm reading through these, the detailed scope of work. I don't know if there's anything unusual that you want to bring to our attention that you found.
Pertaining to which category? I don't understand.
Well, I'm referencing the backup that was presented with it. Anything for you?
Oh, the Gordy Group?
Yes.
This is the contract that I had mentioned that was a lot greater, and we've been working through this in order to get it to you guys for a lower cost. All scopes are well within line is what we require.
Okay.
The only thing that, if you found something, please share.
Oh, no, not at all. It's just, just a general question, if there's
Yeah.
anything you want to bring our attention to. I know it was a lot of information in the detailed scope of work.
These
so
are
just-
so hard to read.
I would agree.
These
So,
documents. We had a $500 reduction off of it. The only other thing that I could state toward that would be the previous proposal was, like I said, $5,000 more. So I pulled that amount out of contingency to make up the difference on this project.
Do you see any Any areas that this figure might change quite a bit?
If they would be anything, hopefully it would be on the environmental side of it. We're getting into an area, the Ford Mastic out there, as y'all have visited the station, you're currently walking on top of asbestos. Once we start into the demolition phase, if there's something within the walls that we're unaware of, some unforeseen, that very well could come up and be an additional expenditure. If there's any way that we can continue to cut this throughout the project, we would.
What's the likelihood of that happening, Mike?
Pardon?
What's the likelihood of that happening as far as understanding the infrastructure out there and the asbestos that is?
I think if anything comes up, we have enough funds allocated within a line item for anything environmental to address that. The main goal is definitely we try to return that contingency back to you, hopefully not spending it. It's for the unknowns, for big dollars.
Commissioner Vaughn, anything you want to add to that? I know you oversee fire and rescue.
No, I think that, as far as moving out and, with the, scope and, moving this project along, given that we're gonna get updated, reviews of that as we move forward, and we'll have that overlay over maybe a couple of fiscal years. But I think the sooner we, decide to move forward that.
This particular project
Yeah.
probably is not gonna last any more than 4 months.
Okay,
This particular, that's just estimating right now.
thank you.
We have a motion?
I move that, we approve of the, scope of work and contract with the various vendors, listed for remodel Fire Station 6 and funds to be budgeted out of the 2014-15 budget year.
Second.
Second, I'll second.
Which one?
So we have a motion, Commissioner Vaughn, seconded by Commissioner Church. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Mike.
Mike.
Number 14, fire truck change order to consider and act upon approving change order number 1 with Daco Fire Equipment to add additional equipment to an earlier approved fire truck in the amount of $23,929. Grant funds to be used for the addition.
I know the fire department received a grant from Phillips 66, and they were wanting to use that money to add some additional equipment to the fire truck. You all approved, I believe, 2 quarters ago. The original amount was $375,000. So this $23,929 will just be added to that fire truck. In the addition, they're going to use grant funds.
I make a motion that we approve change order number 1, fire equipment, in the amount of $23,929, funds to come from the Phillips 66 grant.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Morgillo, second by Commissioner Vaughn. All in favor, raise your hand. 0. Number 15, formal bids to consider and act upon the following. A, allow the purchasing agent to open single bid responses for formal bid number 1098-14, plumbing services, and formal bid number 1099-14, HVAC services.
We put out a bid for our maintenance contracts. It's a time and materials bid for plumbing and HVAC services. And we did only receive 1 bid from the incumbent vendor that has the contract. And so as per policy, I have to bring single bids to the court to get permission to open them. So I'm asking that you let us open them, and I'm gonna give them to Mike, and he's gonna review it. We can go on, if you can come back to me, and if he feels comfortable,
Okay.
maybe approve it.
Okay. Do I have to make a motion to allow that bid?
I move that we allow the purchasing agent to open the single bid response for formal bid 1098-14 plumbing services and formal bid 1099-14 HVAC services.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Church, second by Commissioner Morgillo to allow the purchasing agent to open single bid. We have, all in favor? 0. And we'll come back to B after y'all. Okay. Okay, number 16, insurance vehicle replacement to consider and act upon purchasing a 2014 Chevrolet Tahoe from Caldwell County Chevrolet in the amount of $30,370 from buy board contract number 430-13. This is to replace 2011 Chevrolet Tahoe, Potter County number 19941 that was totaled by insurance.
I told you a couple of courts again, the constable was involved in an accident that was not our fault. So I put a quote in front of you for a new Tahoe to replace the vehicle that was hit. I also put a spreadsheet outlining all the equipment we're still working with the insurance company to try to receive funds back for to purchase. So if you look at that spreadsheet, they have given us already a check for $20,402, and that was for the 2011 Tahoe, for the striping, which is his decals, and also for the alarm that was on it. The rest of this equipment, the total is about $16,000 outstanding that we're asking for them to give us money back, and more than likely we won't recover that full value. So I'm just letting you know up front. I don't know if you would allow us, go ahead and allow me to continue purchasing equipment and taking the balance out of the insurance fund. That's kind of what I'd like for you to do today, or I can bring it back to you either way. But I just wanted you to have all that information before you made a decision on purchasing a new vehicle. The quote for the new Tahoe is $30,370, and it's for a brand new 2014 that they have on the lot currently that they can deliver within the next 2 years.
That's basically turnkey, that's got everything that, you have, except.
No, the 30,000 does not include the rest of the equipment below. It's only the Tahoe itself.
I'm assuming we have money in the insurance fund to cover that.
It's approximately 75,000.
So we take 16 out to get what we need on that vehicle.
Well, the balance between the new Tahoe and what the insurance gave us on the old one's about 10,000. So we need 10,000 to purchase the new vehicle, and then the rest of this equipment is about 16,000. But we should be receiving some money back as well. I don't have that amount yet though.
So the actual, what you're asking for this morning,
It's just to buy the new Tahoe at 30,000.
I move,
No, you have something you
Only to say this is an excellent opportunity for the county to be able to upgrade a piece of really old equipment. I would appreciate you to do that.
understand, okay? You got an extra?
okay, I move that we allow the, president to, purchase a 2014 Chevrolet Tahoe from Caldwell County Chevrolet in the amount of $30,370 on buyback contract number 430-13, as a replacing the 2011 Chevrolet Tahoe, purchase contract number 19941, that was told by insurance.
Do I have a second?
I would second, but Commissioner, if I can ask in that motion, if you would state the additional funds to come from the insurance fund account? Is that correct, the recommendation?
That's the 16,
Okay, I have a motion.
okay, so noted.
Okay. Got that, you want to Commissioner Vaughn made the motion, Commissioner McGee a second, all in favor, raise your right hand.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
My only other question on that is, do you want me to bring back, once we get the settlement for the rest of this equipment, do you want me to bring it back to the court at that time for the additional purchase of the additional equipment? Okay, perfect.
Number 17, Potter County projects. Mike, did you have anything more to?
Yes, I do. If you give me just a moment.
Sure, okay. Let's move to number 18, employment items, to consider and act upon the following employment item. Facilities maintenance, the employment of Nicholas Wade Levers, groundskeeper 1, beginning January 1, 2015.
Move we approve the maintenance item for facility maintenance, employment of Nicholas Wade Leathers as groundskeeper 1.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Church, second by Commissioner Kelly, all in favor. Zero. Let's move on to, the jail count today. It's 482, 87 females.
And in children, any in children.
Do we have any other county insurance items?
Nothing else to report, though.
We're gonna go into executive session, but we'll wait until the session.
I should have said something earlier, and I apologize, but I'd just like to say to Roger how much I appreciated working with him the last 2 years as county commissioner. He was very responsive to any requests, any phone calls I got, and relayed to him. He and his crew just were on it on the spot, and I really appreciate that. So thank you, Roger, for all you've done. I really look forward to working with Sebastian.
And the same duration will carry on just like I wasn't there.
We can come back to the,
Okay, going back to 15B, to award the single bid after review, calculation of facilities maintenance to Allen's Tri-State Development.
their cost per hour has gone up $2 an hour, which Mike is comfortable with. Their overtime and holiday pay is up $4 an hour. Their material cost has stayed the same. So, it is a yearly contract, so we'll bring it back for renewal after the first year, and if something's wrong, we'll let you know that time. So,
David, just a quick comment, when it does come back for renewal of the year, I think it would be great to have an estimate. I think you've provided kind of a structure similar to this before of how many hours we used in an overtime or holiday pay category, and just to provide a comparison.
okay.
Yeah, for those increases so that we can estimate what that impact might be.
What do you motion on that?
To approve both bids.
I'll make a motion to award a single bid to Allen's Tri-State Mechanical for HVAC. And plumbing, I'm sorry. So I have a motion on the floor and a second. All in favor, raise your hand.
Who's second?
We didn't get this.
I did.
Sorry. Commissioner Bunker, Commissioner Bunker. Okay, now, number 17, Mike, you're up.
The first page of the document is Santa Fe elevator modernization, just to make you aware that we have received 2 bids, I guess you could say. We're currently in the process of reviewing one of the bids with the contractor, and hopefully we'll be bringing that back to the commission court at the next meeting. XL Energy retro commissioning, we have received the Green Star Engineering, the investigative plan of action, and the action plan. Nick and I and Cecil are currently reviewing that document right now to get back with the engineers and XL to see how we choose to proceed. Fairgrounds, the only issue we've had on the hail damage out there was on the buildings that the fair is responsible for. TAC has come back and said that they are willing to pay up to 50% for a new engineer to come in and work with the county and the fair in order to get this property re-inspected once again. Shay Williams, he's our current adjuster that I've been working through, I presume, from what I've understood through emails, he's gonna be the one to coordinate this. Out of the 2014-15 projects at the Santa Fe building, the penthouse area, we currently have a contractor working on it. Santa Fe Terracotta project, phase 1 and 2. I have received the preliminary plans on it and a rough draft of opinion and cost. I'll be going through that, working with the architect and be bringing that results back to the court. Item H there, you've just approved. Fire Station 3 is what I need to visit with you on. The timetable. I have presented each one of you with a draft. It's kind of color-coded right there. If you recall, the original timetable for this project, as the architect had presented, it was around 4 months. That would be taking you between now and the end of April, or then we go through. If you recall, I mentioned that I still had to put all my information into it. This as well, reviews. So you've got 3 phases left. You've got a design phase, a bid proposal phase, and a construction phase. So we went from a 4-month duration on the design phase now to 8 months. So that's pretty well in line. Then the next 2 phases, I'll be bringing them back to court to seek y'all's approval. All the items indicated in yellow right there This has increased the architect's timetable by 46 days. All the items indicated in yellow, these are meetings that we will be having with the committees and the commissioners court members one-on-one to make y'all aware of where we stand on this project. All the items as indicated in red are very critical meetings that Pat and I and Richard had to go through in the design phase. A red line review to where we review the documents, either accept them or reject them. We will not proceed past that percentage point until they're accepted by me and Pat and Richard. So basically, that's where we stand. August the 10th is what I anticipate to present to the Commissioners Court. If this can happen any sooner, we definitely will present it to you, but it's kind of pushed it back, so to give you an idea of what you need to be looking for at budget time. Hopefully we'll have that hard OPC in at that time, prior to that, hopefully, in order for y'all to start reviewing. Do you have any questions on the time?
Mike, what is the OPC mean?
Opinion of probable cost. It's just an estimated cost.
And each item you indicated in yellow, there'll be updates?
Those are meetings that the architect will be having with the committee and the one-on-one meetings with the commissioners court that y'all have requested.
Okay.
Okay. Seventh Court of Appeals project, we started that on December the 29th, anticipated completion is January the 26th, if not sooner. County extension of restroom flooring project, I've got an update on that. I completed the project schedule last week. We anticipate start this project January the 20th through Thursday the 22nd, and then can be scheduled all the floors to be finished within the 2 restrooms. Last item is to make you aware of an emergency that we had last week. I presume you've read through this. What I'm gonna do is, I only printed out one copy of this just for y'all to review. What Julie has right there is what actually happened out there at the West 6th Annex of the old DHS property. We had a flood out there. 3/4 inch water line had bursted. David, I believe you received a proposal for $2,800 is what it was. Within my account there, we had $1,824 left. We took that out of there, so my current account out there is in the negative area, I think $975. So not knowing what's gonna happen on the sale of this property, Nick has got dehumidifiers and,
How is that cleaning up, Nick? That cleaning up okay?
It's a mess, but, I mean, it's drying up. We haven't had actually started the cleanup yet. There's a lot to clean up, but, sealant tile and stuff like that got damaged, but nothing major, just a mess.
Wet floor.
Where do we stand on the purchase? Are they still done? Do you know?
They're under evaluation still until, I believe, February 20th. And I did notify the real estate agent this happened, and he was gonna notify the client.
You gonna give an update, about issues across the street?
I will be bringing to the Commissioners Court, at the next meeting, the sewer gas smell that you've been smelling in the building for years. We went through right before Christmas, I showed Commissioner Kelly some pictures, and I'll be glad to show it all from my phone. We, found sewer lines cracked within the building. Nick has been dealing with this for quite some time over there. Sewer smells coming on last June, we had a big issue in the district clerk. We recently addressed an issue that started out in Sandra Hannah's area within the basement of their records area. We spent 2 days right there up through Christmas Eve replacing sewer lines in the basement. This issue is only gonna continue to get worse. I believe Nick's already had calls about some additional areas within the building, so I'll be bringing some photographs at the next meeting and making you aware of it. Okay, you know what happened out at the jail underneath the concrete slab? The same thing's happening above the ceilings now across the street. So there's gonna be a point there, you're gonna need to take some immediate action and start replacing sewer lines in the building. We'll just have to continue to replace them as we get these calls coming in until something is.
Maybe you already know this, but the S on the north end of the Santa Fe building
Zap.
And we got,
Zap?
We did a requisition last Friday. We got one more time.
Great colors for the holidays.
Super smell.
Okay, now executive session, consultation with attorney to hold executive session to consult with the county attorney to seek advice about settlement of employment matter pursuant to Texas Government Code. Section 551071 allowing the governmental body to conduct private consultation with its attorney about pending or contemplated litigation and be taking the action required by the executive session. So. We're back from executive session.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we allow our attorneys to negotiate with the council of a former employee to come up with a agreement.
Second.
You have a motion for negotiation from the table, Commissioner Church, second by Commissioner Vaughn. All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you. Oh, sorry.
No.
I didn't see. Oh, you're no.
I'm in.
Oh. Okay, passes 4-1.
Judge, would you, you probably said it and I just didn't hear it, would you, say for the record that no action was taken during the executive session?
No action was taken from executive session. Very welcome. Sorry, I didn't know I was supposed to say I would say that. Okay, so, moving on, the very last item. Judge, any agenda items that need to come next term? David, you have that one? No, I'm certainly.
Oh, no, until I'll put it on there
Okay.
if you get it, so.
There's nothing else. And this meeting is adjourned.
Just a second, don't we? Yes, it's just like 5 o'clock.
Okay.